it a bit this year. You've got some willing rivals in that series.
No, the young guys are doing extremely well, but I think the fact is that if a few of the young guys aren't going to start beating an old bloke like me soon, what's the sport like? You know, it's got to happen eventually. But no, I think the support categories have got to be the categories that the fans want to see, and I think on the main program, the V8 Supercar program, it should be the best entertainment that we can get. So with the Pro Car thing falling over, maybe there is room for some of the better classes that they had to come on the V8 Supercar program. I mean, I don't know. It's up to the organisers, obviously, but I think the fans deserve to see the best side shows with the main act.
Does anyone else think there's room for more production car racing to come back into the fold as it was before?
I have no doubt. I think the Utes are the obvious choice. We should have the Utes on the same race meeting as us. And you know, I mean, I like the little Aussie legends. I think they're fantastic.
Yeah.
You know, I always go over and watch them. Those blokes, they can spin in their car length, keep going and lose one spot. I mean, it's fantastic racing. Must feel like you're doing 500 miles an hour down the end of some of those straights and those things. But I think we certainly could do with some of their classes in our racing. I mean, you spoke about the 24-hour race at Bathurst. I think that's certainly a really good race from a competitor's point of view. I'm not so sure it's so easy to stand there and watch. But when you're actually competing in it, I think 24-hour races are really, really good from a personal point of view. And I'm sorry that it's not on this year, and I hope it's something that they can resurrect, because it's a great circuit, and 24-hour race there from a driver's point of view is a good event.
What will happen to a lot of those race cars, Jimmy, like from the Pro Car events or the different...
Well, I think Nations Cup, I really think Nations Cup is at its end, because the cars, they went from a GT production formula, which were affordable cars, reasonably affordable, to cars that really weren't affordable to any guy that wanted to drive one.
Yeah.
Affordable to some of the guys that wanted to buy them, but that's just overpriced itself totally. So I think that's fallen away, and I think that probably half the field will go back into, say, the Porsche Driver Challenge or something like that, and the Monaros, the Lambos and that, they'll be sold off to go to museums or whatever, I feel, because there's really not enough room to have that class with so few competitors in it holding a position on a good program.
There's a lot of money down the drain, though.
Yeah, but it won't be down the drain. They'll get rid of the cars overseas.
Yeah. What about a V8 Supercar 24-hour race?
Oh, yeah.
You are an ideas man.
Would that be a round of the championship?
Cito's sweating already because he'd probably be struggling for the first 2 hours or something.
Obviously, Russell isn't the team owner.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
I reckon the 24-hour race in V8 Supercars will be absolutely sensational. Sponsors pay.
You could do a 12-hour, right?
Yeah, you can do a 12-hour. Yep. We do six now. It's only, full Bathurst all looked together.
And have a mandatory period during the race.
Yeah, where you lay down
at the 12th hour when you've done about 2,000k to come in and change the engines and all the drivetrain.
Well,
and see how fast you can do it.
Yeah, everything's quick release. It involves a crew. That's a great idea.
Yeah, team sport.
We need to be careful that we don't end up, and as much as Tony Cochrane would love there to be V8 Supercars and absolutely nothing else, there needs to be other feeder categories to keep us going. And Konica is a really good series, and it's bringing along young drivers, and there's some crazy people in the class, but there's some really good drivers as well.
Can you elaborate on that?
I didn't name names, but I've got to tell you, when I go there and I watch those reverse grid races, because I go to most of the Konica rounds, they're fantastic races. There's action every time you look around, and but it's a good breeding ground for champions of the future.
Can they run on the same event, you think, as us?
Konica?
They have done.
No, but I mean more.
I think they've got to get their own identities. I think they do that for 3 races now.
Can
and
you
I think
pick
that's
the crazy
enough.
ones out? There's
No, I can't name names, sorry.
Are they a couple? Doesn't look too bad.
Are they 2 of them?
There's one there anyway. That looks like you and Russell.
Hang on, is that another 2 of them?
It's actually fairly good racing, though.
Now, there's a bloke with a bit of talent.
Oh, he's related to you.
That'd be my nephew.
Yeah. Oh, that was good, Brett.
Where did you get his talent from?
Chip off the old block's brother. Yeah.
Just checking.
The good thing too with Konica is it is proving to be a feeder for our series.
Yeah,
I mean, you look at the top 4 or 5 guys in the series have got regular drives or co-drives in the endurance races, and that's what it's all about.
It is, but the sad part about that is, for us, it's sudden death for those guys. When they come into the series, if they get into a decent level 1 team, they usually only have 1 season to prove themselves. And when you try and explain to people that coming from Konica and getting into the main game is such a huge step, they need more than 12 months.
Yeah,
and so
absolutely.
you see kids with lots of talent come in, and by the end of the year, they're just starting to get a bit of a result, and they get flung because you need to get a result straight away. So it's really hard for those blokes, but I guess it's better than not having any opportunity at all.
I suppose there's no better way, is there, though? This is probably the best system we've got in terms of bringing those guys up to
because they
some
get,
sort of level.
yeah, they get to drive the cars that we drive. And I think if you were to change the cars and change the rev limit or put a different tyre on them, that would be a mistake. Those guys need to... These aren't easy cars to drive, and it's an opportunity for them to learn how to drive our cars. So we do have some sensible drivers in the cars for the long-distance races, and they do have the opportunity to step up and get in the main game.
There's guys coming out of the Carrera Cup too that are coming in our category with...
That's true, but they usually find it a bit difficult when they first jump into the car because they're such a unique animal.
Jimmy,
Have you got anything more to say about it, Brad?
No, that's it.
You got anything more to say about it?
We can go to a break now. Thanks, Billy.
Okay, thanks, Brett. We will go to a break, and just before we do, Formula One is looking at changing its feeder category for the very same reasons. We'll take a break now from the Star City showroom, and then welcome back a brand new member to V8 Supercars. Stay with us.
Smith at Oron Park, and today we're going to get down and dirty with some V8 motorsport. We're going to be talking to punters, we're going to be talking to drivers, and we're going to maybe see the softer side of racing and maybe ask some of the really hard questions. Come with me. Big rumour is that you're heading back to Formula Ford, is that true?
Well, definitely. You've got to go back to your grassroots.
Oh, God. But the thing is, the Blues wrecked the wash, and I've been speaking to your missus. She said that she'd like to go back to some pink whites. Talking about missuses,
Yeah.
I believe you're finally going to be made an honest man next weekend.
New handbrake.
Really?
Yeah.
What do you reckon?
Tony will like that, won't she?
So
Can you put this on 2 weeks later?
So I have to ask, is it a boy or a girl, Skaife?
Yeah, that's right. You might like, wouldn't it? Yeah. I might as well give another house away, Timbo.
Hello, Neil. How are you?
Hello, Tim.
Good to see you, mate.
Oh, no. I've been doorstopped.
The rumour is Lounsey leaving.
It is, mate. Well, my brother-in-law, he lives, eats, breathes Craig Lowndes, and he's just bought a brand new shirt, hasn't even worn it yet. Now he's got to trade it in to get it.
No, it's useless.
It's gone, mate. It's gone.
I mean, it was an infringement, and I copped it. I have to cop it on the chin, and they relieved me of a lot of my hard-earned dollars.
They did. They hit you right in the wallet.
I know.
And a lot of the racing car drivers here have said they've hit Larry where he lives.
Oh, mate, it hurt.
We can't see your beautiful face. This is a message to the future Murph.
I better do a bloody bit of job than what I did today, I can tell you that.
Oh, mate. No, you're just pacing yourself, Murph.
Pacing myself into the back of some other car. See, listen to that, Timbo.
Oh.
That's them bashing my car back into show.
Oh, jeez. Oh, but, mate, you know, it's tough love.
Tough love. Wish someone would love me.
Hey, guys. How are you?
Good, yourself?
I'm very well, thank you. Do you love the V8?
Oh, our husbands do. We just hang here and chat.
You'd have to be the youngest, wouldn't you? You'd have to be one of the youngest in the team.
This year, youngest, yeah.
Well, what do the old guys reckon?
Oh, they reckon I'm a little prick, probably. I don't really care as long as I'm beating them, to be honest with you.
Hey, Timbo! I want to know if you be my girl. Now, where are you boys from?
Melbourne, mate.
Oh, nice work. You're not there to be putting your brakes on. You're not paid to brake, man.
No, actually, that's true.
You know, if the cow
Which pedal is that again?
I don't know. You've only got two, haven't you, Murph?
Yeah.
Clutch and go.
Put it into drive, mate, and away I go.
Barracking. Ford or Holden. You got to have a team.
Holden!
You got to have a team.
Well, I go for Volvo. Well, I'm Swedish. Come
Of course
on.
he does, yes.
Read the rules properly, Sherbert, is what I say.
Yes.
And this time I had to look in the mirror and repeat it.
Okay, so would you sit around with your race team and read them the rules at night, like as a nighttime
Well,
story?
we do, and hey, that's not funny. We issue rules at the start of the year, take them home, read them in bed instead of whatever you normally do.
Yes.
We can't afford to ever be wrong. And I tell you, we missed a page.
One page.
I know, crucial page.
One bad mechanic had stuck the page together.
I don't know what I did, but
what was he up to? So I'm here with me mates Mark and Russ. Jeez. Oh mate, it's over. Oh mate, it's over. It's over. It's over. Oh, you can tell he's up the top, can't you? Oh, you used to talk to everyone, but now when you're on the top, oh right, yes.
That, of course, was the amazing Tim Smith from Triple M's breakfast show, The Cage. We're going to talk to another couple of wild and crazy guys who we think have rounded up some wild and crazy people as well. We're going to take some questions from our well-oiled audience here at the Star City showroom. Greg Rust, who do you have?
Thanks, Billy. We'll try and inject a little bit of seriousness. We're with Dave from Liverpool. Now, you got a question about last weekend's result. We're going to direct this one to Mark Skaife.
Absolutely. Look, you know, the guy finishes first in the top 10 shootout, wins the first race. Ambrose, forward guy, wins the second race, but then wins the round. What's that all about? What's going on?
Can we explain that one, folks? The rules.
We basically finished equal on points, mate, one race each and a second each. And, you know, for television and for the sport, they've decided, for whatever reason, that the person who wins the last race wins the day. Now, it's gone the other way plenty of time, just the way it works.
Okay, next question. Mark Aston.
Thank you, Billy. I've got Robert with me. Everyone put your hands together for Robert because he's got a great story to tell. Welcome.
Welcome.
Where are you from?
Orange.
You have come all the way from Orange to be here tonight?
Yes.
How far away is that?
200 k's.
Now, you've got a question for Skaife.
Have you been drinking tonight? I knocked one glass over. Yeah, that's right. Knocked one glass over. Spun.
Yeah, well, wasn't it interesting that when he knocked the glass over and it fell on its side, it started spinning?
Yeah.
He had a terrible year, although a pretty good week last week.
Yeah, he did.
That all went well, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
Good on you, Rusty.
He loves that spin the bottle, Mark Skaife, doesn't he? Anyway, let's move right along. Amy, you've got a question for the panel, and it's more about the calendar.
Yeah, about the Bathurst long weekend. I wonder how the drivers feel about it for the spectators, because it's definitely not the same Aussie tradition it used to be, not being on the long weekend.
Very good point. Should it be back on the long weekend, boys? What do we think about that?
Very good. Definitely. Yeah, absolutely. I think she's spot on the money. Like, it should be back, and it should be two things. It should be back on the long weekend, and it shouldn't be part of the championship.
Yeah, I don't agree with that. No? Well, I mean, I understand why it's not on that. I think it should be on that weekend as well. I mean, that's the traditional weekend. I've been watching that race on that weekend ever since I was a kid, but I understand why it's changed so we don't clash with the footy grand final. But I think it's good that it's around to the championship now.
All right, we've had opposing views on that. We have discussed that before. Mark Aston.
Gee, the Jason Bright story's been big for the last week or so with this nuts and bolts issue. We've got Cassie with us. Cassie, you might be able to shed some light on it.
I think the whole ordeal was a disgrace.
Now, who did you speak to tonight earlier beforehand?
Greg Murphy.
And what did you find in his possession?
Some bolts, nuts and bolts. A screwdriver and...
I knew I saw you jumping over the fence.
I've got something to say. No, just kidding.
You had a Bunnings bag in your hand.
Greg Rust, you have one more question for us from the audience, please.
Karen, where are you from?
Colorado Bry,
Where is that?
northwest New South Wales.
That means you're one of the longest travellers to get here. We're going to put Russell right on the grill here. Tell us what you think.
I want to know how difficult it is as a Holden supporter, having been so since I was about 15, which is a long time ago, how you can just jump into a Ford.
Yeah.
Where's your loyalty?
Where is your loyalty? You did it for the money. Ka-ching, ka-ching.
Mate.
Ka-ching, ka-ching.
Mate, you talk...